Honorable members, I have a communication to make, rather a message to deliver, and a ruling that follows our debate earlier in the week. Honorable members, this is a message on the nomination of persons for appointment to the offices of Cabinet Secretaries, Secretary to the Cabinet, and the Attorney General. Honorable members, Standing Order 42.1 relating to messages from the President provides that the Speaker shall read to the House any message from the President delivered to the Speaker for communication to the House. In this regard, I wish to convey to the House that I have received a message from His Excellency the President notifying the nomination of various persons for appointment to the offices of Cabinet Secretaries, Secretary to the Cabinet, and the Attorney General. Honorable members, in the message, His Excellency the President conveys that in exercise of powers conferred on him by Article 152.2, 154.2, and 156.2 of the Constitution, as read together with Sections 3 and 5 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, he has nominated various persons for appointment to the aforementioned offices. For clarity, these provisions of the Constitution state as follows. 152, Cabinet. The President shall nominate and with the approval of the National Assembly appoint Cabinet Secretaries. 154, Secretary to the Cabinet. The Secretary to the Cabinet shall be nominated and with the approval of the National Assembly appointed by the President. 156, the Attorney General. The Attorney General shall be nominated by the President and with the approval of the National Assembly appointed by the President. Honorable members, the names of persons submitted to this House for approval to be appointed as Cabinet Secretaries are as follows. 1. Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, EGH, Office of the Prime Cabinet Minister. 2. Honorable Professor Kithure Kindiki, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior and National Administration. 3. Professor Njuguna Ndungu, CBS, Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning. 4. The Honorable Alice Wahome, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. 5. Honorable Aden Duale, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Defense. 6. Ms. Rebecca Miano, CBS, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of East African Community and ASALS and Regional Development. 7. Honorable Alfred Mutua, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs. 8. Honorable Aisha Juma Katana, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action. 9. Honorable Moses Kiarie Kuria, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Trade, Investment and Industry. 10. Honorable Soipani Tuya, CBS, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Environment and Forestry. 11. Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Roads, Transport and Public Works. Can the members at the bar take their seats, please? The Honorable Penina Malonza, OGW, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. 13, Mr. Sakaraya Mwangi Njeru, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. 14, Susan Nahumicha Wafula, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Health. 15, Honorable Mithika Linduri, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Agriculture and Livestock Development. 16, Mr. Eliud Owalo, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy. 17, Honorable Ezekiel Machogu, CBS, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Education. 18, Mr. Davis Chirchir, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. 19, Honorable Ababu Namwamba, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Youth Affairs, Sports and Arts. 20, Mr. Simon Chelugui, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, MSME Development. 21, Honorable Salim Mvuria, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Mining, the Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs. 22, Honorable Florence Borre, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection. Honorable members, in the message, HE, the President also conveys that he has nominated the Honorable Justin Bedan Njoka Muturi, EGH, as the Attorney General and Ms. Mercy Wanjau as Secretary to the Cabinet. His Excellency the President now seeks the approval of the National Assembly on the nominees for appointment to the said offices. Honorable members, as you are aware, the Committee on Appointments is yet to be constituted, despite the provisions of Standing Order 2042 requiring that the committee be appointed within 7 days on assembly of a new house. This has been occasioned by the fact that the House Business Committee, which is yet to be formed, on account of the question of the leadership of the majority party and the minority party, which I'll just rule on after this. It is in the House Business Committee, which is charged with the responsibility of nominating members to sit in the Committee on Appointments, save for the slots reserved for the leadership of the House. Honorable members, having resolved the stalemate in a short time to come, we will then move to the next level to process these appointments. Honorable members, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Act 2012 provides, unless otherwise provided in law, the committee to which such nomination is referred shall consider the matter and table a report in the House within 28 days. It is therefore imperative that the Committee on Appointments, once formed, immediately commences the process of consideration of the nominees to enable speedy conclusion of the vetting process within the set timelines. I will also direct the Clerk of the National Assembly to take the necessary steps and notify the nominees and the general public through an advertisement in the daily newspapers of national circulation and on the parliamentary website of the time and place of holding the approval hearings. This should be done by Friday, tomorrow, the 7th of October 2022, following which the Committee on Appointments should commence the approval hearings. The committee is expected to table its report in the House on or before Tuesday, the 27th October 2022. In accordance with the law, the House will be required to consider the committee's report and make a decision on the nominees within 7 days following tabling of the report. That is on or before 3rd of November 2022. The House is accordingly guided. Thank you. Honorable members, can the members at the bar take their seats? Honorable members, the following is a ruling on a matter that has been contested before this House, a matter that has been contested in correspondence with my office, and a matter that has taken center stage in the public media on the issue of leadership of the National Assembly in the 13th Parliament. And here I go. Honorable members, you will recall that during the afternoon sitting of Tuesday, 4th October 2022, I did inform the House that a question had arisen on the manner of constituting the House Business Committee, especially with regard to the membership reserved for the leaders and the whips of the majority party and the minority party, respectively. In guiding the House on the business to be transacted before the establishment of the House Business Committee and the manner in which the business would be moved, I did indicate that a question had arisen as to who the bona fide leader of the majority party in the House is. I proceeded to allow the House to address me on this matter and gave priority to the designated party leaders and whips of the Kenya Kwanza Coalition and the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition political party. In the debate that ensued, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah tabled various coalition agreements entered into by the constituent parties of the Kenya Kwanza Coalition and deposited with the Registrar of Political Parties. The Honorable Silvanus Osoro also tabled letters relating to the matter as excerpt of the minutes of the parliamentary group meeting and a list of attendees of the meeting during which the party leaders were elected. Similarly, honorable members, the Honorable Opio Wandai tabled a copy of a letter dated 7th September 2022 from the Registrar of Political Parties addressed to the Clerk of the National Assembly, conveying what the Registrar termed as constituent parties of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party, the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, the name of one party which was not affiliated to any coalition, and an indication of parties that had filed constitutional petitions and objections on their membership of the Azimio coalition. Honorable members, while contributing to the debate, the Honorable Junet Mohammed also tabled what he claimed to be the coalition agreement entered into between the constituent parties of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party. Several other members also weighed in on the matter, including the Honorable Member for Garissa Town, Adan Duale, nominated member, the Honorable John Badi, the member for Ugenya, the Honorable David Ocheng, the member for Tiati, the Honorable William Kamket, the member for Kimilili, the Honorable Didmas Baraza, the member for Kadhiani, the Honorable Robert Mbui, the member for Enakoi, the Honorable Samuel Chepkonga, the member for Embakasi East, the Honorable Babo Wino, the member for Kiharu, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, nominated member, the Honorable Sabina Chege, the member for Kibwezi West, the Honorable Mwengi Mutuse, the member for Mandera North, the Honorable Bashir Abdullahi, the member for Laikipia North, the Honorable Sarah Korere, the member for Ganze, the Honorable Kenneth Kazungu Charo, the member for Alego Songa, the Honorable Samuel Atandi. Other honorable members who spoke on the matter include the member for Tinderet, the Honorable Julius Meli, the member for Kilifi North, the Honorable Owen Bayer, the member for Kabondo Kaspul, the Honorable Eva Obara, the member for Kangundo, the Honorable Fabian Muli, the member for Dagoretti South, the Honorable John Kiarie, the member for Embakasi South, the Honorable Julius Mawade, the member for Kiminini, the Honorable Bisao Kakai, the member for Mhaya, the Honorable Omboko Milemba, the member for Taraka, the Honorable George Murugara, the member for Dagoretti North, the Honorable Beatrice Elachi, and at the conclusion of the debate, I reserved my considered ruling for today. There are many other members who came up on a point of order. I need not mention them. On the onset, honorable members, permit me to amplify a portion of the contribution made by the Honorable John Badi, in which is key to the resolution of this matter. The Hansard records the Honorable Badi as having said that there is no contention over which members constitute the leadership of both the Kenya Kwanza coalition and the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition. The only contention that exists and which formed the basis of the debate which ensued is over which of the two is the majority. Honorable members, Article 108 of the Constitution establishes the offices of party leaders in Parliament and outlines the order of precedence to be observed in the National Assembly. The article provides as follows: there shall be a leader of the majority party and a leader of the minority party. The leader of the majority party shall be the person who is the leader in the National Assembly of the largest party or a coalition of parties. The leader of the minority party shall be the person who is the leader of the in the National Assembly of the second largest party or a coalition of parties. The following order of precedence shall be observed in the National Assembly. That is sub-article 4 of 108. The Speaker of the National Assembly, the leader of the majority party, and the leader of the minority party. Honorable members, what is clear from the Constitution is that the leader of the majority party must lead either a party or a coalition of parties in the National Assembly. I invite the House to note my emphasis on the word either. Honorable members, Article 92 of the Constitution mandates Parliament to enact legislation on various aspects of political parties. To this end, the Political Parties Act 2011 was enacted. This law has been amended severally, including as late as February this year. Honorable members, you will note that Section 2 of the Political Parties Act 2011 defines a political party as an association of citizens with an identifiable ideology or program that is constituted for the purpose of influencing public policy or nominating candidates to contest elections. The term is further defined to include a coalition of political party, a coalition political party. Under the same section, a coalition is defined as an alliance of two or more political parties formed for the purpose of pursuing a common goal and is governed by a written agreement deposited with the registrar. On the other hand, honorable members, a coalition political party is defined as a coalition that is registered by the registrar as a political party. Interestingly, Section 10(1) of the Act allows two or more political parties to form a coalition or a coalition political party before or after an election on condition that they deposit a coalition agreement with the registrar. Honorable members, what I discern from these definitions of Section 10(1) of the Act is that Parliament, in its wisdom, legislated as follows: that two or more political parties may form a coalition or a coalition party and deposit a written agreement with the registrar. Further, that a coalition of two or more parties may register itself as a political party with the registrar under the Act. You will agree with me that this legislation creates a unique and puzzling scenario where a coalition, which is a conglomeration of parties, can also be treated as a political party on its own right. Honorable members, I note that in the letter that I received from the member for Suna East, the Honorable Junaid Mohammed, on this matter, he submitted names of leaders representing the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party. Curiously, in the same letter, the honorable member signed off as Secretary General of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition. This begs the question of whether Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition is a coalition, political party, or both. In the debate over this matter, several members argued that a coalition political party is a perfectly legal vehicle that was used in the just concluded election to allow individual and corporate membership within a coalition. In my understanding of Section 2 and Section 10 of the Political Parties Act, Parliament permitted a coalition political party to elect to assume the character of either a party or a coalition. Honorable members, in the last general election, it's evident that Azimio la Umoja One Kenya elected to behave as several political parties in certain categories of elections, and as one political party with regard to the election of the president. It's without doubt that if it were to be considered as a political party, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party has no elected member in this House today, as no member was elected under its banner. This is easily discernible from Gazette Notices number 9950 and 9951 of 2022, both dated 23rd August 2022, and Gazette Notices number 10535 of 2022, dated 5th September 2022, in which the IEBC, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, declare the persons duly elected as members of this House and their respective political parties. Further, honorable members, it is notable that with respect to the members nominated to this House, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition political party elected to nominate members under the names of its constituent parties. This can be seen from the Gazette Notice number 10537 of 2022, dated 7 September 2022, and Gazette Notice number 10710 of 2022, dated 9 September 2022. The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party seems to have elected to enter this House in both elective and nominative positions through its individual constituent parties. It is a clear demonstration of the coalition party's respect for freedom of association under Article 36 of the Constitution, which exercise of political rights under Article 38 of the Constitution, and the freedom of speech and debate in the House under Article 117 of the Constitution. Honorable members, Article 108 of the Constitution also allows a coalition to elect and designate their choice of the leader of the majority party. The claim by the Kenya Kwanza coalition is based under this limb. Similarly, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition political party has staked its claim to the leadership of the majority party in exercise of its second skin as a coalition. Honorable members, what is clear from the Constitution is that the leader of the majority party must lead either a party or a coalition of parties in the National Assembly, and not both. Indeed, I noted earlier in this communication, in determining the matter confronting the House today, one must ask the question whether the entities claiming the leadership of the majority party are parties or coalitions. The provision of the Constitution seems not to envisage the position of the leader of the majority party being claimed by an entity that is both a party and a coalition of parties. It is apparent that, honorable members, while the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition political party elected to behave as a political party in certain categories of elections in the last general election, it has now staked its claim to the leadership of the majority party in this House, using its second skin as a coalition. The issue that arises at this stage is whether this conduct is in conformity with the expectation of Article 108 of the Constitution, which requires an entity to elect one of the two choices. You will recall that before the Sindie adjournment of the 12th Parliament, the standing orders were amended to insert a new standing order 2B. This provision requires the clerk of the National Assembly to obtain a certified copy of any coalition agreement entered into between two or more political parties. This amendment was necessitated by a dispute that arose at the beginning of the 12th Parliament on the entitlement of the constituent parties of the then National Super Alliance Coalition, commonly referred to as NASA Coalition, to a share in the membership of the Parliamentary Service Commission. It was not possible for the then Speaker to resolve the issue without access to and perusal of the then NASA Coalition's agreement deposited with the Registrar. Apart from resolving any disputes related to the membership of the Parliamentary Service Commission, it would interest members to note that pursuant to Article 2152 of the Constitution, part of the membership of the Commission on Revenue Allocation is also drawn from nominees of the majority party and the minority parties in the House. This is the basis upon which the standing order was introduced in the last Parliament so as to enable the Speaker to discern the undertakings made by the parties with regard to the positions available to the House. The sharing of nominees for appointment to commissions such as the Parliamentary Service Commission and the Commission on Revenue Allocation, entitlement to positions in the East African Legislative Assembly, and where necessary, determining the relative majorities in the House. Journals of the House indicate that this provision was hardly intended to be used to resolve questions of which party or coalition of parties has sufficient numbers in this House so as to be entitled to elect the leader of the majority party. Honorable members, the Political Parties Act provides a general framework for the formation of coalitions, but leaves the substantive provisions to the formulation of the respective parties to a coalition. Where the substantive provisions of a coalition agreement are unclear, ambiguous, or are in contention, the interpretation of the intent of the parties is left to the general jurisdiction of the legal system. Nevertheless, honorable members, perusal of an agreement entered between the partners in a coalition would greatly assist, resolve, or forestall unnecessary disputes likely to impede the conduct of the business of the House. Indeed, upon obtaining a copy of the NASA coalition agreement, my immediate predecessor did urge that the provision of the coalition agreements to the House should become standard practice. This is what informed the introduction of new Standing Order 2B in our rules of procedure. Honorable members, with regard to the coalition agreements affecting the affairs of the 13th Parliament, the clerk did write to the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties on 2nd September 2022. In her letter, entitled Request for Information and Copies of Coalition Agreements pursuant to the National Assembly Standing Order 2B, the clerk provided the registrar with a list of parties with representation in the House at the time. The clerk sought the following from the registrar, and I quote, "Guidance on which particular political parties from the list above are in coalition arrangements, please include the date of the registration of the coalitions." 2, information on changes made to any of the coalition agreements or partnerships that are in place and the dates of the changes, if any. And 3, certified copies of the coalition arrangements entered into by any of the parties listed herein. Honorable members, in response, the registrar noted that at 21st April 2022, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party comprised 26 political parties, namely Jubilee Party, JP, Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, Wiper Democratic Movement, WDM, Kenya African National Union, KANU, National Rainbow Coalition, NAC, National Rainbow Coalition Kenya, NAC Kenya, Muungano Party, Maendeleo Chap Party, Democratic Action Party, DAP-K, Devolution Empowerment Party, United Party of Independent Alliance, United Democratic Movement, UDM, United Progressive Alliance, UPA, Pamoja African Alliance, PAA or PA, Kenya Union Party, KUP, United Democratic Party, UDP, Movement for Democracy and Growth, MDG, Kenya Reform Party, KRP, Chama cha Uzalendo, CCU, National Liberal Party, NLP, People's Trust Party, PTP, Ubuntu People's Forum, UPF, Party of National Unity, PNU, Labour Party of Kenya, LPK, and the Party for Growth and Prosperity. In the same letter, according to the registrar, the Kenya Kwanza Alliance comprises 15 political parties, with the UD, United Democratic Alliance, UDA, Amani Congress, National Congress, ANC, Forum for Restoration of Democracy Kenya, Ford Kenya, Chama cha Kazi, Communist Party of Kenya, CPK, the Service Party, TSP, Tuchibebe wa Kenya Party, Farmers Party, Devolution Party of Kenya, Economic Freedom Party, and the Umoja na Maendeleo Party as members of the coalition as of 3rd June 2022. Can the members take their seats? Honorable members, the letter further notes that the Democratic Party, the National Agenda Party of Kenya, the Grand Dream Development Party, and Chama cha Mashinani effectively became members of the coalition on 5th September 2022. The registrar also observed that the National Ordinary People Empowerment Union, NOPEU, is not a member of any of the coalitions. Honorable members, in the letter, the registrar also conveys that Maendeleo Chap Party, Pamoja African Alliance Party, PA, United Democratic Movement, UDM, and Movement for Democracy and Growth, MDG, have filed constitutional petitions and or objections with regard to their membership of Azimio coalition. It is notable that despite the written request by the Clerk of the National Assembly, the registrar did not convey certified copies of any pre-election or post-election coalition agreement entered into by the parties with the representation in this House in the response to the letter dated 7 September 2022. May I at this juncture, honorable members, report to the House that surprisingly, the registrar today morning at 8:30 a.m. submitted to me through the office of the clerk documents said to be the certified copies of the coalition agreements for the Kenya Kwanza Alliance Coalition and the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party. Curiously, whereas the registrar's letter to the clerk for the of the National Assembly is dated 3rd October 2022, the accompanying agreements bear a certification of the following day, which is 4th October 2022. The letter and the documents were delivered to the office of the clerk today, the 6th October 2022, more than 6 weeks after the request by the clerk. Seemingly, this may be read by any reasonable person to be a reaction to the proceedings of the House on Tuesday, 4th October 2022. Nevertheless, I have had occasion to peruse the documents accompanying the letter as against the documents tabled in the House on Tuesday this week. Despite attempting to advise the House on the status of the coalition agreements affecting the composition of the House as at 3rd October 2022, the registrar has again failed to mention the existence of any post-election coalition agreements. This is a glaring omission